Good day to all of you. Today we are discussing the microelements, minerals, very essential in our human body. Minerals are microelements because they are not macro, so we don't need a lot of grams like proteins, lipids, and carbohydrates. Minerals are divided in two categories called major mineral and minor mineral. The major minerals are sodium, calcium, potassium, magnesium, chloride, phosphorus, and they are needed in quantities major than 100 milligram per day. But we are not talking like proteins that we need 60, 70, or 80 grams per day. We just need milligrams. That's why they are called micronutrients. Even though there are among the micronutrients the major mineral needed in major quantities, more than 100 milligram, and the minor elements, for example iron, selenium, fluoride, and others, needed in microgram. Micro is 1,000 part of a milligram. So you understand why they are called minerals micro, because they are needed in smaller quantity. But the effects of these minerals that are needed in smaller quantities and are found in vegetables and fruits are essential because they work as cofactor on many metabolic pathways in our bodies. So they are very essential to keep our metabolic path run and in the maintenance of the electrolytic homeostasis of all cell membranes. But they also have other effects despite this of the maintenance of the electrolytic homeostasis of our cells. They also help to absorb element in the digestive tract. Minerals, be careful not to exceed with them because some of them may be toxic in excess. Another very helpful effect of minerals, they prevent acidosis. Acidosis is a natural process of our body. We produce acids, and the minerals that we introduce with fruits and vegetables help to prevent acidosis of our body, and they push the pH of our body towards the 7 or the 8. There are also essentials in the nervous system. Think about sodium, potassium, chloride, magnesium, and calcium. These are very important to help our body stimulate the nervous system and induce the nervous system to stimulate and to pass from one nerve to another to the muscle cell, for example, the nerve stimulus. Calcium is also essential for muscle contraction, and when we have not enough calcium in our body, we are at risk, for example, of cramps, and muscle failure. When do we need to introduce a mineral supplement in our diet? Only if our diet is lacking on vegetables and fruits and grain. So when we don't eat enough veggie and fruits or grain in our diet, then it is time to think that maybe you are in need of adding minerals in your diet. Or you might are at risk of malabsorption because you suffer of a chronic disease in your intestine or in your stomach that prevents you to absorb the minerals. In these two cases, you might need a mineral supplement on your diet. If you take a multivitamin and multi-mineral a day, you are not at risk of having a toxic effect on your body. But you might not need it if you are healthy and if you eat enough vegetables and fruits and grain in your diet. Also, another reason why we might need to add minerals in our diet, because we are combining our foods in the wrong way. Here are some examples of wrong combination. For example, phytates that are abundant in green and cocoa may interfere with the absorption of calcium in milk and cheese and iron in meat and fish. Tannin in tea may interfere with the absorption of iron. So drinking, for example, a cup of tea with a steak might not be a good reason. Phytates in cereal and soy may prevent the absorption of calcium, zinc, iron, and magnesium. So some suggestion of food combination could be no green with milk and cheese, no tea with meat or fish, no soy or bran whole grain with meat, cheese, and eggs for the reason that we mentioned before. The most important minerals, as we said before, are sodium, potassium, magnesium, and the one that we need in a higher quantity is calcium. That is very essential. Essential in bone formation, essential in the nerve impulse, in muscle contraction, as I said before. Is essential because without calcium we are not releasing hormones. Is essential because it regulates the blood pressure in our body, and sometimes a lack of calcium is the reason why people tend to have a higher pressure. Is essential in the prevention of cancer formation. So you understand that calcium probably is the most important mineral that we need to introduce with our diet. Calcium also prevents osteoporosis, but remember this, it's not the amount of calcium that prevents osteoporosis, but the amount of exercise that you do. So the best way to prevent osteoporosis is to do exercise, but not necessarily to introduce a supplement of calcium. How much calcium do we need? Approximately 1 gram per day, but remember, do not exceed this amount daily because you might face a kidney failure, stones in your kidneys, and difficulties in absorption of other elements, as in a day as well. Which are the best sources of calcium? As you know, milk, cheese, almond, legumes, sardines, and canned fish. So when do we need to take a supplement of calcium? And in general, no more than 500 milligrams because you are eating also food, so you are gonna get the calcium from foods as well. When you count down the amount of calcium you're introducing, remember that if you take a supplement, if it is a citrate form of calcium, you're introducing 20% of calcium. If it is in the form of carbonate, 50% of calcium. So if you, for example, are taking 1 gram or calcium carbonate, you are taking 500 milligrams of calcium. When you're using drugs for gastric problems and gastric acidic that contain aluminum and magnesium, be careful because this may increase the calcium loss in urine. So those who are at risk of calcium kidney stones might be careful also in the use of such drugs because they increase the calcium loss and the risk of adding more calcium to the tendency that the body has to produce kidney stones. Over 30 are of course at risk of osteoporosis if they don't exercise. So having in your diet a milk or a cheese product is good, but the most important thing is to be physical active. Thank you.